Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is Team Spirit, and I am Lauren.
I'm Carrie. And I'm Emily.
And today we are talking about Reiki. And so Carrie is a Reiki professional. She is certified and has been for 4 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, up
Yep.
on 4 years.
And Carrie does distance and in person Reiki. And Emily is going to be training to be a Reiki professional. So if you guys want to take it off,
Yeah.
masters, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So Reiki is very near and dear to my heart because it's it is the first modality that I've had experience with, like when I was really getting into my spiritual journey. And the reason why I found it, I kind of stumbled upon it, to be honest. But at the time, this was 7 years ago, my anxiety was through the roof. And it was really just like unexplained. There wasn't really anything. I've always struggled with anxiety, but it's always been peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And I was at a peak, and there was no really explanation as to why. There wasn't any really big changes going on in my life or any real triggers. I was just experiencing a lot of anxiety. And at the time, I was working for Marriott International at a pretty big hotel downtown. And my boss at the time was always talking about Reiki. And I had no idea what the hell it was. It still was like so foreign to me, like the concept of energy healing at that time. And she just kept talking about like her experiences during her sessions. And she would go once a week and how profound it was. And I was like so desperate at the time because I was on medication. I was in therapy. So I was doing all like the traditional treatments to help manage my anxiety, but it just wasn't enough. And I just felt very intrigued by this concept of Reiki. So there's a little crystal shop close to us that I found online on Main Street. And I found out that they had offered Reiki. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give it a try. So I went to my first appointment, and there is nothing like the first time. Yeah. It is so intense. And that's how it was for me. And everybody's different, right? Like everybody receives energy differently and processes energy differently. But for me, it was really intense. And I definitely felt like there were a lot of physical sensations, but the way that I was able to really like silence my mind during the session was what really stood out to me, and just how light I felt afterwards. And I remember like going through some pretty intense emotions for like the next couple of days. And the woman who I went to was very professional. I still keep in touch with her. She's amazing. It explained that that could happen and it was very normal. And I just kept going back, and it really helped me manage my anxiety. Like I was just totally blown away at how much I felt more in tune and more balanced on an emotional, mental, physical level. So I then decided again, like I would go to treatments. There would be times where I would go a couple times a month, or, within like a 3 month span. There were times I would go once a week. It really just depended on like how I felt. And that's one of the biggest questions people ask me, like my clients, they'll be like, how often should you get Reiki? And I'm like, it's totally personal. Like you just have to like evaluate. It's like anything. You just how some people are in therapy once a week. Some people are in therapy once a month. It's just you have to kind of tune into yourself to see what you need. So in 2020, when the world shut down, my anxiety again was like at an all-time high, and I could not go to a Reiki practitioner because of COVID. And I wasn't really had knowledge of distance Reiki at that time. So I didn't know that was an option. So I decided to learn for myself so that I could do healing on myself. And I was also, at the time, I had a newborn baby. Leanna had just been born. And I just felt like I needed to be more stable for her because, kids, they pick up on us energetically all the time. And it just opened up everything for me. It took me about a year to really finish the class because I had a newborn baby. So of course, like life, but it was all done online. Some people have opinions that you cannot learn Reiki online, or that you cannot get attuned through distance. And attunement, when you become a Reiki practitioner or a Reiki master, there's 3 attunements or 1 attunement of all 3 levels. And that basically means that a master Reiki practitioner has to do this ritual to attune you to the frequency that is Reiki. So attune you to this life force energy. Reiki means life force energy in Japanese. comes from Japan. So I just ran with it and I decided to open my own business, and I started practicing on friends and family. And then I opened it up to the community, and it just totally took off. So like, while you're listening, you're probably like, well, what the hell is Reiki? I'm so confused. Talking about. So Reiki is a form of energy healing. It's one of many modalities. There's so many modalities when it comes to healing. And there's also branches of Reiki and how to practice Reiki. I am a practitioner in Unsui Reiki, which is like the very traditional where it all started. And then there's been branches off from that. It comes from Japan, and it is a way of balancing, cleansing, and aligning your energetic body. So when you learn Reiki, you learn how to tap into either yourself or another person or a pet, their energetic body, so their chakra system. And you are just a conduit for that life force energy. So with traditional Reiki, as a Reiki practitioner, I'm not doing anything. I am just a vessel for that energy. It comes through me and into the person that I am, that is receiving Reiki. There are ways of using your psychic or your intuition that's so important with Reiki, and it's going to look different for everyone in how you feel energy. And that's what really opened up my clairs. So my clairvoyance, my clairsentience, my claircognizant, all of those. And it kind of developed over time, like the more I did it. And I think because I had that background and I was attuned to that frequency those years ago, that it made psychism easier for me because I was very familiar with energy and working with energy. And I think that's very appealing to people that, you know, I'm going to be teaching it in January. A lot of them are wanting to open up their psychic abilities. And this is just a really good way to lay that healthy foundation to be able to do that and to tap into that. I always get asked, what does it help with? Well, it helps with it can help with anything. It is not going to heal you. And I want to make that very clear. Just like anything, taking a medication might not necessarily heal you forever. You have to continually take that medication for you to feel better, whatever the situation is, whether you're a diabetic or whatever. You have to take your meds, right? Reiki's like that. You don't go once and then you're healed of everything. It's not how it works. The more that you get, the better that it is. And it's also really important to understand that energy is everything. And emotion is energy. And emotion literally means energy in motion. That is where emotion comes from, that term. So when you go and you get a treatment and you're feeling really good and you're feeling really great, well, something else can trigger you down the road, whether it's something as simple as, I don't know, somebody cuts you off in traffic, or something very traumatic like losing a loved one. It's all triggering. A trigger is a trigger. It's just how deep is that? How deep is that? And then that's when we as human beings tend to really like suppress those emotions when we have this situation happen and we don't really know how to fully release it. So we hold on to it. And what happens is it's energy. So it has to go somewhere. So if you're not releasing it or transmuting it, it's getting stuck, and it's getting stuck in your body, and it's getting stuck to your chakras. And then what ends up happening is over time, it starts to manifest physically. So it can manifest into insomnia. It can manifest into depression. It can manifest into anxiety. It can manifest into psoriasis. Reiki has helped tremendously with my psoriasis. So yeah, it's like, it's maintenance. It is a tool to use to have in your wellness toolbox. It is not the end all be all, but it can help with so many different things. I also feel like it's very important to say, and I have a cold, guys, so forgive me for my voice. This is why I sound like this. It's very important to say too that intention is everything. So there are people that come to me that need help with just regulating their emotions. There's people that come to me for grief. They lost somebody and they're processing grief and it's very heavy. There's people that come to me for anxiety. There's people that come to all different reasons. And one thing that I always do that's a part of my practice is just like when you go to therapy and they say, well, what do you want to work on today? It's the same thing with Reiki. What are we transmuting today? What are we clearing today? What is your intention for the session today? And they don't need to share that with me, because as long as they are focusing on that, the energy always Reiki will always go to your highest good. I am not manipulating energy. I am not moving energy. I'm not doing any of that. That is not Reiki at all. Again, it can branch out into that and there's different ways, but I am very traditional. in my practice. I am just a conduit, and energy is intelligent. Reiki is intelligent, and it knows where to go to serve your highest good. So when I am doing a session, my mantra is, may I be a channel for life force energy. May it flow through me and into Emily or into Lauren or into Susie to serve their highest good. And Reiki knows where to go and it knows what to do. I have learned a lot. It's like anything. You can learn it, you can learn the material, and then once you get out and you start doing it, you kind of have to find things that work for you. And one of the things that I really want to focus on in my class is you really have to know your own energy and you have to know how to protect your energy. And that's going to be like very, very important, because when I started doing hands-on Reiki for the first time, I was definitely absorbing energy that wasn't mine. And I was definitely giving energy, my own energy, to the person that I was doing Reiki on. And we don't want to do that. And I wasn't really taught in my class how to prevent that from happening. It's very black and white by the book. Here's what you do. Here's the symbols. Here's this, here's that. And they touched on energetic hygiene, but we didn't get really deep into that. And I feel like that's very important when you're working on somebody else's energy. So that's going to be a big focus, because there were times when I would actually get like physically have a reaction during my sessions where it almost felt like I was having low blood sugar. I would get very weak. I would get very cold and clammy and sweaty and tunnel vision. And there were actually times I had to excuse myself and like splash water on my face. And I was pregnant at the time too. So that in and of itself takes a toll, but it was definitely it was an energy exchange that it wasn't necessarily supposed to be. And you just kind of have to learn and figure it out as you go. But Reiki is phenomenal just to help you heal yourself and to just start that process and to really get to know your own energy. And it's just like something that I'm so grateful for learning that modality. It's something that I plan on doing for the rest of my life. It's like I'm so just humbled by the experiences that I've had and watching clients have these experiences. Some really stick out more than others, but it's so different for everyone. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is everybody has their own unique experiences, but there's one thing that is undeniable, and it's just the total mind body relaxation that you feel during a session. So I am going to be teaching Reiki, and I want to get into that a little bit towards the end, but I wanted you guys to share, you've had Reiki, what your experiences were, because they're all so different.
It's kind of like a good back crack of like your soul and your mind, like that's kind of the closest thing I can
like a
think to.
chiropractor to your, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really, I love how you said about like the energy knows where to go, because it really is like a couple months ago, I was very curious about like, okay, when we take Advil, how the hell does it know where in my body hurts? Like, how does it
Yeah.
know? I'm not a scientist. I have no fucking clue. And
Right.
I thought it's really interesting of how like the body, like the energy of our body talks to the things that we're doing with our mind. So we're thinking about taking this medication, and our body goes, the energy says, okay, thank you, and I will deliver it and I'll take care of it. And I feel like it's the same thing with Reiki. You're receiving that energy and your body's like, I know where it needs this, and it
Yeah.
just does its thing. And it's very cool. I've only had distance Reiki, and the first time was with a client at my first job. This one lady and we got in contact with each other through like I used to be in customer support, and she was one of our customers, and we had our first conversation was pretty not pleasant. And because like something happened on her end, and like it got messed up in the system, and I was trying to like work it out. And by the end of that conversation, when like I reached out, we were like besties. I love her. Like we became very, very close, and she lived far away, and we would just kind of like talk about things. And she was like, my husband and we have our own business where we work with energy. And if it's ever something you're interested in, because I told her about like my night terrors at that time. That's about when they
Yeah.
started. And so I did 2 or 3 sessions, I think, with her. And the first time I definitely didn't know what I was kind of doing. Like she was feeling out my energy and my things. And like I was taking 15 minutes for myself. And so I felt very panicked about that. And I think that kind of put up a block on myself, like, and so the next time she was like, you're allowed to have time for rest and for these things and for yourself. And it kind of helped open up, I think, the channels between us so that I could properly get what I wanted or what I needed. And then I don't think I'd had it again since you, Carrie. I think I've had it a couple of times through your TikTok live. I have not had it in person. I will be doing that. But it's always, and every time I kind of do like the general, like whatever I need, but you always ask what's the focus. And we always have that option of, well,
Yeah.
this is what I'm feeling. And when you let general happen is always when like you're kind of mind blown because it's like, here it is. And you're like, yeah, you're right. That was it.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, some of the physical sensations that you can get is like it blows people's minds.
Yeah.
It really does. I know Emily has had a few of those experiences.
Yeah. Well, the first time I had Reiki, it wasn't with Carrie because it was before she was a practitioner. But I remember being in that theta brain state where you're like not awake, but you're not asleep either. It was like the most peaceful, calm, serene feeling ever.
Yeah.
And then with Carrie, we've had some wild experiences. I remember one time she was doing Reiki on me and she was diffusing oils, and
Oh, okay.
her diffuser would like flicker each color of the rainbow, like each chakra color, really, the red,
Cool.
orange, yellow, green, blue.
It cycles through colors.
Yeah.
And when she got to my throat chakra, it got stuck on the color blue, which is the color for your throat, because my throat was so blocked. And she's like, oh my God. Like after you were like, oh my God, when I got to your throat, it was so blocked that color, it just kept
going back to blue,
like emitting the blue color. And that was crazy. I've had where the release, like in my sacral chakra, I've gotten my women's thing, you know what I mean? Time of the month right after the release, which is really healthy. I've had other.
Yeah, after you didn't have it for years.
Yeah, I didn't have it for a long fucking time. Yeah, and I got period right after she did Reiki, and she even said your sacral is really blocked, da, 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 and then like clockwork got my period. That's
natural. Like our bodies are doing that for a reason. So like that's so crazy.
Yes. What else?
Stomach bubbling.
When my solar plexus has been blocked, stomach bubbling and rolling, and then after that, release, like just crazy
tingling. That's a big one. Oh, feeling pressure, like people when you're laying down, you have your eyes closed, you're in a meditative state, and I use hands on, so I don't hover. I always ask, of course, but yeah, so like pressure points, so they'll know I'm on one area of the body, but it'll feel like I'm on another part of the body, and that's just the way the energy is moving. A lot of people report shooting sensations, like feeling either out of their fingers or their toes, like a
energy zaps.
A zap of energy. I've had a woman who lost her husband who had her own mediumship experience during Reiki with her husband. I have had crazy experiences where there would be a block in the third eye and that would get released and then the eyes water. It's like an instant, like they're not crying, but tears are streaming because there was that pent up stagnant
pressure release.
Yeah, it's just really incredible. And I remember I love my dad so much, but he doesn't really understand, what I do. And he had been suffering through a bad bit of insomnia. And that's something that he's always struggled with. It's like a part of, anxiety. And he was willing to try anything because he just wasn't sleeping. And he wasn't napping. He wasn't sleeping at night. It was like really, really bad. And he's like, I'm willing to try it. And he got on my table. And I think within 10 minutes, he was snoring, dead asleep.
Wow.
It's just, and it's like, if anything at all, even if you're not really a believer, you have to at least acknowledge that we are energy. You have to acknowledge that. I mean, that is fact. And even if you are just taking that moment to quiet your mind and to rest, the reality is, and it's also a fact, is that your body heals the most when you are sleeping or resting. That is when your body can heal physically. That's when your cells start to rebuild. That's when really magical things start happening. So if you're just taking an hour to do that and you don't feel or experience anything else, that's enough.
Right.
And I make that very clear, with my clients too, because everybody's going to experience it differently. And I had another really profound one of my clients had a really tough diagnosis for herself, and she was really scared about what the future was going to hold. And she had been in that energy of like the Nine of Swords, like what keeping you up at night. It's just that repetitive cycle of thoughts that never, it's just a cycle, a cycle, a cycle. When we first started, it's very common to have anxiety when you first start because everything's just kind of starting to come to the surface. And she said after the session that what she noticed the most was that there was this overwhelming sense of doom in the beginning of how am I going to do this? What's the rest of my life going to look like? And by the end of the session, it changed to, I know I can do this.
Wow.
I am strong enough. I can do this. And that change in perspective can change somebody's life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the healing aspect of what I do will always be my favorite because it's just to be able to just hold space for people in a way that maybe talk therapy can't do. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
A lot of people, and rightfully so, find therapy very difficult because you have to say a lot of things that you don't ever want to put into like
Words.
existence. Like you don't want to say them out loud. And there is a part of Reiki and meditation that kind of helps you heal those things without saying it. And I think both are equally important. And it's I like that you mentioned about it having to be like a practice because I think a lot of people think they go to therapy or like the group sessions one time and they're like, I've learned everything, I'm healed, I'm good, I showed up, I went and I'm good. And it's like there's the work that has to come from once you show up. And I think that's why, isn't that one of the sayings is like the first step, showing up is the first step or something like that? Yeah, like that's only the beginning, but the work that comes from it. And you can even get from doing Reiki, you can even get those next steps to put those things into words. And I think it's a really nice like energy starter. It's kind of like a battery. You're really like recharging yourself. Everything, no matter what you do, there's always rest is included with it. Whether it's working out or even 9 to 5 jobs, there is rest. We're given the after hours and the weekends for a reason. Like you can't do things 100% of the time. Like you have to have that rest. And when we get that rest, we should be using it for real rest. And I think we don't. And I really hope that if anything,
is like the biggest thing. I mean, that is what people it's burnout. It's straight up burnt out. I mean, you go, you're going to hit a wall. And it's like everything's just going to bubble up. I mean, it's just, you can only go for so long until your body is like, sit down, bitch. You need to fucking. Right. So another thing too, I do Reiki on my kids a lot, and I feel like they pick up on that, and they even have their own little experiences, and they're just toddlers. But it can be for self-healing, for your pets, pet Reiki. That's a part of Reiki 1. It can just be you can Reiki your food. Yeah. You can Reiki your food and set intentions into your food. You can Reiki your water, crystals, candles, your house. You can Reiki history. You can send Reiki to what's going on in the Middle East right now. I mean, it is like
because energy's everywhere. Everything has energy.
Yep. There's really nothing that you can't Reiki. Right. There's really nothing. You can send Reiki to your future self for a upcoming interview.
I love that.
You can literally set that. You learn that when you learn Reiki, different symbols that you can use to do that. I don't do that a lot, but you can do it. It's limitless. It's limitless. And I think like if somebody's asking, well, why would I want to learn Reiki? Well, why not?
Emily, I'd like to hear what you want to learn and what you are excited to learn. You're going to be learning very shortly. And what are your expectations? And like, what was kind of your thought process with deciding to get certified?
Well, first and foremost, I want to...
What?
It happened again.
Oh, oh my God. Oh my God.
They're saying, do it, bitch.
They're like, yo, it's always so appropriate too.
I know. Well, first and foremost, obviously, like I want to be able to have that healing modality in my practice. I truly believe that I was sent here to be a healer. I'm empathic to my core. I feel like that's the missing piece, really, to all of this psychism mediumship. I also really, really, truly believe in my heart of hearts that it's going to help me dive in even deeper with my psychism to really get into people's energy and be able to help them and, validate them and stuff. But yeah, those are the two main reasons why. And it always helps to have something that can also help heal yourself. I am all about therapy, psychiatry, Reiki, massages, self-care, helping your mental health, helping your, I'm all about that. So just having that to help with me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that's really going to help me with myself. But yeah, I am so looking forward to this. So looking forward to it. It's going to be detailed and the nitty gritty and all the meat and potatoes. And I can't wait. How about you talk about?
Yeah, so I'm going to be teaching for the first time. I am a master practitioner, so I was trained to teach Reiki. That's level 3. That's level master teacher. That's what you learn how to do. So I am able to attune. That's a part of the process, and I can certify as a master. I really have always wanted to do it. Now I have the time since I do this work full time. So my class starts at the end of January. Enrollment is now, and you can enroll up until the class starts. I want it to be somewhat intimate. So just know that there are, I hate to say limited slots, but I feel like it needs to be intimate. That way you can ask more questions and it just flows better, I feel like. So with my course, it's all 3 levels. It's Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and Master Teacher levels. It is 8 weeks. It is going to be held every Wednesday evening, beginning on the 31st of January. And we're also going to have practice circles on Sundays. So that is a way to practice healing yourself, noticing your own energy. And I can tap into that. So I can help you through that. And then once we get to level 2, that's all about practicing on others. And obviously this will be everybody's coming from different areas. So it'll be more focused on distance healing, which is great because that's what we're at. 2024. Yep. Shit is on Zoom. It's just how it is.
Yeah. And TikTok, you can go live.
Absolutely.
People are live on TikTok. It's really endless for distance, which is really cool.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be 8 weeks. Practice circles on Sundays. The way I was trained and the way I'm going to do it is there will be an attunement at the end of the course. So I'm not going to be attuning in level 1 and then level 2 and then level 3. Not doing it. Wasn't how I was taught. So it's going to be one attunement at the end of the course. It's all going to be done on a private Zoom call. There's going to be a little bit of a walkthrough meditation. I'm going to get you to that meditative state, and then I'm going to do the attunement. It'll probably take about 30 minutes. It's included in what the price of the course. So the price of the course is $555. It covers all 8 weeks, the practice circles, the certifications, and the attunement. And obviously having access to me if you have any questions, while you're practicing on your own, or if just anything comes up, I will be available. There is one thing I want to be is very flexible, and I understand that it's a tougher time of year. We're coming up on the holidays and money's tight. So I am offering payment plans, and they look different for everyone. So there will be a written agreement, and then I am asking for a deposit, which gets applied to the total of the course. And then you tell me what you want your payment plan to be, keeping it totally up to you. That goes in your agreement once it's been decided. And I'm just trying to be as flexible as I can because I totally get it. But yeah, my goal is that once the course is over, you will 1000% be a Reiki practitioner and you can hit the ground running the same way I did. Of course, I'm going to be teaching it by the book, but then I'm also going to be bringing in techniques and tips and tricks that I've learned throughout these last 4 years that have helped me grow my business and also, just help me be a better practitioner in the sense of again, protecting my energy, grounding, all that's really important. And also some psychism too. one of the things that is really popular on TikTok for me is my energy scans and my Reiki. I do a little bit of a combo there. So really, like, I think that's what those Sundays are really going to be about, is tuning into that energy. That's going to be a pretty big focus, because that's where I was a little lost in the beginning, and I had to kind of figure it out as I went. And if I can just kind of set the foundation for my students to be able to do that, because a lot of times what I found was, when I first started, people want to report after, well, how's my energy? And with traditional Reiki, that's not really a part of it. You're just a conduit for the energy, and you are giving that Reiki's flowing through you. But the reality is, people want to know, well, what the fuck's going on with my energy? So just to be able to navigate that in a way that is comfortable for you, I think would be really helpful. It definitely would have helped me. So definitely some psychism in there too. But I'm so excited, and it's something that I'm going to do throughout the year. So I haven't decided yet. I want to see how this first round goes, to when I'm, a little bit of a break, do it again, a little bit of a break, do it again. But the classes are moving forward, going to be available indefinitely. And of course, for anybody that's listening and is interested in learning Reiki, you can find me on TikTok at Clarity by Cam and message me. I am doing consultation. So if you want to jump on the phone and you're not sure if it's for you, or if you have any questions, we can kind of talk through that. And yeah, that's pretty much the agenda for my course. And I'm really looking forward.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And we'll link your information in the show notes too. So on this episode, when you're listening, just go to on our Spotify page. When you go and it's like says a little about this episode, there will be the link to get to Carrie to sign up for the class.
Yes.
And it's really cool that you've done so many different paths with this that you can teach, like all these. It's very cool how the different things that you can learn from everybody. And I feel like everybody has their own thing to give with Reiki. And really, I'm really excited for you. It's gonna be very cool.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Out here doing it.
I'm getting a Oracle deck for the.
Oh, it's a perfect one.
Yeah, Spirit's like, use that.
Spirit's so awesome.
I know.
We love Spirit though. Team Spirit.
Carrie, did you? I sent in the chat in our little text chat our Spotify Wrapped. It's very cute. A little video from Spotify.
Okay, I'll watch.
Yeah. So yeah, we just got the Spotify Wrapped today, and we would like to just thank you all for being here and listening. It was we have 5% of our listeners are in Germany. I thought that was very wild. So hey, Germany.
Hi,
very
Germany.
cool. And UK was out there. What's up? It's very cool.
I have German and UK in me. All
British.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know anybody out there, so thanks for being here. I'm happy you found us. It was a very cool video, and I don't know, I'm just really glad we're doing this.
Who made it? Who did it?
Spotify does. So every year, even just for so me personally, it tells me, hey, this is who you listen to the most. No surprise was Taylor Swift. And then here's your top 5 songs that you listen to, and here's how many hours you spent listening to them. And it's a real cool thing. And then they do one for podcasters. And so it showed us where we're listened to, our top episode, how people are sharing our episodes with their friends. And it was whatever percent through texting or direct links or Instagram. Yeah, it was really cute. And I cut it up and it's on our TikTok and our Instagram.
Okay, I'll watch right after this.
And I tagged you guys in it because it's adorable.
So what deck are you using, Em?
All right, so I am using Oracle of the 7 Energies by Colette Baron Reed.
Freaking love it.
Oh, I haven't seen this one yet.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I got.
Let's get her back.
We're really zooming in on Carrie.
Okay, here we go. And I got Bearing Fruit.
Okay.
12.
Oh, that's pretty.
And this is the book is spread out into the 7 different energies. This is the energy number 2 of water, which is connection, sexuality, intimacy, birthing, desire, pleasure, feelings, and fluidity.
Sacral.
Yep. And bearing fruit, key concepts, birthing, the results of hard work, an idea or consistent thought manifesting into form, the relationship between the external world and the internal world of feelings and beliefs. If your life were a tree, what fruit would it bear? Envision the results of the efforts you put into achieving your dreams and desires in partnership with the divine. Can you see the way you think, feel, and believe reflected in the material world? There's always a correlation between what you see, what you expect to see, what you intend consciously, and what you project unconsciously. consciously. Everything is intrinsically connected. Magic flows through you from the unseen world into the world you perceive, moving from the realm of non-ordinary reality to ordinary reality. Your birth ideas and thoughts into form and bring your most cherished desires to fruition. Not all ideas will bear sweet fruits. Sometimes you will reap a sour and bitter harvest based on your sense of your personal narrative and your assumptions about others. You are in a powerful and fertile season of your life when you're particularly good at making things happen with very little effort. Pay close attention to what you're manifesting now. From your career to your personal relationships, your influence is strong at this time. If you don't like what your life is yielding, prune the proverbial tree and get into alignment with what genuinely lights you up. Remember, you birth into the world that which you pay most attention to and consistently hold within as your truth. Be clear about what you intend. Can you make this commitment?
Beautiful.
I
I
mean,
love
how
it.
perfect.
And did you see the back of the card is the colors for energy for
Yeah.
Reiki? That is so cool.
And how it says everything is intrinsically connected. We were talking about the energy. Magic flows through you from the unseen world into the world you perceive.
Yeah.
That is
And it was
Reiki.
number 12 at 12:12. Did you guys catch
Wow.
that?
That is ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah,
Can't make it up.
that was very cool. I really loved that. If you were a tree, what fruit would you bear?
Right.
That's so cool.
Depends on the day. Sometimes sour apples.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sometimes it's a big old turd, but
Right.
sometimes I'm a big old turd tree. You ever heard of it?
To match our turd rings.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I loved that. Well, that was very exciting.
Great.
But so thank you guys again for being here, and for this will come out right before as we're wrapping up or in the middle of December. So yeah, just thank you guys for being here. And you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Team Spirit Podcast. Carrie and Emily are live on TikTok. You can find Carrie at Clarity by Cam, CAM, and Emily at Enchanted Mystic by MK. And again, in the show notes, we will have the link, everything to sign up for Carrie's classes for Reiki. And thanks again for being here. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.